So is there a missing piece in training when you go from cross country over to track season and you're in the 400, 800 group? Okay. Coach Jason, hope you're all doing well. The reason why I'm bringing this up, and I've talked about this recently here on TikTok, because it is a thing. Somebody reached out to me yesterday, college athlete, Division I. He's knocking on the door of 150 for the 800. And he's also a 25-minute cross-country runner. So his strength is there. He's aerobically fit, okay? Out of respect for him, I'm going to keep his name confidential. So, but he mentioned to me that he's having trouble. He's in the 400, 800 group, and at some point mid-season, he's not feeling as sharp. He's not getting better anymore, right? And if he wants to move up to the mile, he's having trouble doing that too. So, and when I got into a little bit more details, there were some missing parts of the training, right? Tempos, VO2 max, threshold, stuff like that. At least it's not utilized the same way as in cross country, nor should it be. But that said, this is some of the stuff that could be very transitional from cross country to track that can help you sustain a longer bout of very good running. If you utilize it differently, but still, it can be very, very effective. So if you're a coach or an athlete, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. If you enjoy the content, hit the like button too. I don't want you to miss any content, okay? I'm going to continue to talk about this. And then anybody has questions, my email is blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. Okay, again, blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. Okay, let's get into this. Maybe you'll get a little bit of a better understanding, because this is a very valid concern that he raised. These are very valid questions, important questions. And I don't hear anybody else talking about this stuff, but it's no less important. Okay, so right into this. Again, track, cross-country, sprints, mid-distance, distance. This is how you can sneak in and build more fitness during the racing season. Okay, especially if you're going from, and this is a little bit more applicable in high school, obviously, because you're training for a 5K or a 6K, as opposed to college when you're training for an 8K and 10K. So, but there are still situations where people that are in the 400, 800 group run cross country and run it well. And this is a live example. Okay, it brought this whole thing to life for me, and I thank him for it. Okay, and let's get to this again. Be sure to incorporate VO2 max training into the weekly schedule, even after cross-country season, okay? It makes it easier to progress, even late season and multiple seasons. So if you're running indoor and outdoor, you want to sustain, okay, a good bout of racing. And again, in college, it's going to be a little bit different because you're not going to race as much as you do in high school. So it allows you to get bigger blocks of training. So it also makes it easy to effectively move up in distance and running a second race in a track meet. What I mean by that, now you're going to be a little bit stronger, okay? So if you want to move up to the 1500, okay, or you want to be the 1200 like in a DMR, so on and so forth, right? If you want to come back and run a 4x8 later, you need to be strong enough and aerobically fit enough to withstand that, right? So there are components of training that put you in a position to do just that, okay? And this is why I talk about this a lot. Tempo runs, VO2 max, threshold training and stuff. But you can incorporate it a little bit differently. And again, as well as anybody that runs an 800, you're either going to come race against 400-meter runners stepping up to the 8 or a miler stepping down to the 8. So you might get a little bit of both. And what happens? You're going to get used to guys going out fast. You're going to get used to guys closing harder, right? So it's a little bit of a different. Are you fit enough? And is your training balanced enough for you to be ready for both? Right? That's the question. So, and right into this again, the transition piece. I've talked about this a lot. A transition piece before workout begins and or after it ends and before the cool down. Okay? If you're doing a short, fast workout, let's just say I talk about 8x200s a lot for speed endurance for the 4 and the 8. Right? Well, we'll use that as the workout, or 6 times a 400 at mile pace or faster than mile pace or whatnot, right? An 800 or a 1K or a 1200 or a mile rep at tempo pace. And this is after you warm up your drills and strides. Then you take a 5-minute active recovery, and then you do the workout, right? What does that do? Okay, that not only puts that little bit of VO2 max training, and keep in mind again, tempo running and threshold training is initial VO2 max conditioning, right? That puts you in position to do a little bit more VO2 max specific, which is 3K and 5K pace. But for the half milers, a 3K pace VO2 max session is a good thing. 1-to-1 work rest ratio. So let's just say 6 times a 600 at 3K pace and so on and so forth. That's a really good workout for a half mile who wants to step up and run the mile. Okay, so you can do that before the workout and then the workout itself. If you decide to do it after the workout is complete, and so instead of that that tempo rep in the beginning, you could do it after the workout, and you can add a little bit of volume. So instead of the 800, you could do a mile, right? Instead of the 1200, you could do a 2K, and so on. It's up to you to decide as an athlete or coach, completely your decision. But think about it this way, okay? Excuse me. You do this for an entire season. Even if you get an extra 2 miles or 3 miles worth of VO2 max running per week, you do that for 10 weeks. That's 20 or 30 miles of VO2 max training that wasn't in your training that's there now. You think that won't make a difference? It will. Okay? You might not know when, but it will make a difference. Okay, and it's this type of stuff, these little missing pieces that you can incorporate strategically during the track season that will make it easier for you to run faster, run differently, right? Race differently, okay, and be more versatile in the events that you compete in. Okay, now let me give you a couple more examples here, okay? You know, you're going from 2 cross-country type workouts in the fall to strictly 400, 800 meter type training. So you're leaving yourself without the piece that can help you lengthen a strong season, which is the VO2 max component, right? Tempo, threshold, VO2 max incorporated into this training can help to complement and enhance the training more than it would disrupt it, okay? That's an important thing to factor in. It's an important thing to keep in mind. It will enhance what you're already doing and it will not disrupt it, okay? And the volume does not need to be significant with this, just effectively incorporated and utilized, okay? 2 miles of tempo running per week is not a lot of running. And if you're fit enough and if you have a well-balanced training program, a tempo rep in the beginning of a workout is not going to tire you out, okay? It should not tire you out if your training is well-balanced and effective across the board. This should be an addition in a way that is just make it easier for you to enhance. And what it does too, it throws a little bit of fatigue in the legs for these types of workouts. And I talk about this all the time. A longer tempo rep for a short, fast workout. If you're going to do a longer rep workout, you can do a couple of transition pieces, like 200s, 3 to 4 times 200, help you find the pace of the workout. And that applies to tempo and threshold as well, okay? Helps you find the pace, and you're not having to look for it in the workout. These are areas where you can be a heck of a lot more efficient in your workouts and your training, okay? I encourage you to consider this as a coach and an athlete, okay? Now, let me give you some workout examples specific, okay? Number 1. There goes your tempo rep, right? 800 to 1K tempo rep. just as an example. Take a 5-minute active recovery. Then you do 8 times 200. That's speed endurance if you want to emphasize the 800 there. If you want to emphasize 400 conditioning, then you do 2-minute recovery after the 200s instead of 800, instead of 90 seconds, okay? Then you take a 5-minute rest after the final rep. And then you can do another tempo rep on the back end if you want. It's up to you to decide as an athlete or a coach. But that's a bookend workout right there. The meat and the potatoes, so you have a mile's worth of running in the middle of it at 800 meter pace, right? So if you're looking to run 2 minutes, let's just say, you're running those 200 meter reps in 29:30, 28:29, right around there. And now you're adding a tempo run on both sides of it, tempo piece, okay? Not every workout needs to be super high volume, super high intensity. Now you can strategically incorporate this stuff to help you carry over some more of your fitness that you've accumulated during cross country so effectively into the track season. These are the type of stuff that can help you do that. Okay, workout 2. Okay, you do a 200 meter rep at 800 meter pace, goal 800 meter pace. You take a 1-minute recovery. Then you do, let's just say, 2-mile tempo, whatever at the tempo pace is, right? You take a 1-minute recovery. And then you do another 200 meter rep at 800 meter pace at the end. So if you're looking to run 2 minutes, again, a sub 2 minute, I'm just using it as an example, you run that 800 meter rep in, let's just say 29. Then you take a minute, you do your tempo, and then you try to run the 29 again after the tempo when your legs are fatigued. That's exactly when you're going to need it. That's exactly how it's going to simulate the end of a race, right? You're going to need to deploy the leg speed, deploy the turnover. And if you could do it at your goal 800 meter pace and no slower, this puts you in a position to do that. Now, you can enhance this workout by either lengthening the short, fast rep, okay? So you can go, instead of a 200, the next time you do it, let's just say 3 weeks later, right, or 2 weeks later, you can go from 200 to 300 at 800 meter pace, the same recovery tempo, same recovery, 300 on the back end too. Okay, this is a bookend tempo. okay? And then you can even go further if you feel you're ready for it. If you feel your athlete's ready for it, you can move it up to 400 at 800-meter pace. Rest one, do your tempo, rest one, 400, 800-meter pace. So you can increase the length of the short fast rep. Or you can stick with this existing workout that's on the screen here, the 200 at 800-meter pace, but you can do it a second time, cut the rest from a minute to 45 seconds, okay? And then you do the third time, cut the rest from 45 seconds to 30 seconds. So, and I talk about this a lot too. You can either increase the speed of a workout, you can cut the rest. This puts you in a position to have both options at your disposal and still incorporate a tempo in there. It doesn't have to be a 5-mile tempo, okay? So that's how you can do the bookend tempo. Okay, next up, something I call lactate in, lactate out. Okay, this allows you to put lactate in the legs and allows you to flush it out in the same session, right? So for an example, I'll give you an example. For the 800-meter specificity here, you do 2 sets of 300, 800. The 300 is going to be at 800-meter pace or faster, right? Fast. Put that lactate in the legs. So it's going to be fast at 800-meter pace, right? Try to get as close to 400-meter pace as possible. You take a 30-second recovery. That's it. And then you do an 800-meter rep at tempo pace. You take a 10-minute recovery, and then try to repeat that again, okay? And that's the workout itself. At some point, if you feel you're ready or your athletes are ready to do a third set, you try a third set, okay? But this right here allows you to put lactic in the legs and flush it out in the same session, okay? Instead of it carrying it over into your legs for days afterward, okay? This is a very, very, very good race-specific conditioning workout. A repeatable workout, too, that you can do throughout the season, okay? Now, if you want to emphasize, people want to run the mile, 1,500 meters, you could do 3 sets of 400 1K. The 400 is going to be at sub-mile pace, okay? So let's just say you're looking to run 5 minutes, as an example. At 75, you're going to try to run them at like 70, okay? And you take it the same 30-second recovery, but now you're going to do a 1K rep at tempo pace. Then you can take a 6-minute recovery after that, and then you're going to repeat. You try to do 3 sets. And if at some point you feel you can do 4, you try to do 4 sets, which gives you 4 times a 400 and 4 times a K in the same workout. Okay, but again, lactate in, lactate out in the same workout. And again, how do you calculate tempo pace? Okay, whatever your athletes have run or whatever you run for your current mile, so let's just say it's 4:30. Okay, add a minute to that. That's going to be your tempo pace. Let's say 5:30, 5:25 to 5:30, 5:26 to 5:30. So if you're going an 800-meter rep, that's when you're going to run 2:44 to 2:45, right? And so on. That's the pace you can do. And when you do stuff like this, your tempo, your rep is going to feel like a crawl after you just launch yourself into that fast rep. But that short recovery will catch up to you. So it's important you take advantage of the full rest period in between the sets. But this is a way of injecting race specificity and tempo running. And think about how much accumulation of tempo and VO2 max training you could do throughout a whole season and even carrying into the spring season as well. Think of how much it can help you carry over the fitness that you work so hard to build in the fall. Okay? This is why I'm talking about this. Okay? And I talked about, I went live, for those that didn't see, I went live this past weekend talking about 400 and 800 meter group training in the fall. So now you're not running cross-country workouts twice per week, because there are situations where, and more in high school, obviously, but there are situations where they will race in cross-country in the fall. Let's just say half of your teammates have to take your SAT this weekend. We need you to step up and race. I don't really care what you do, but we need you to just be there so we can score points as a team or whatever, right? Or a couple kids get sick or whoever gets hurt or whatever it might be. You need to have that extra depth at disposal. And doing the right things in training helps not only prepare those athletes to run decent in cross country, but it helps make it easier to transition with the track. You're getting best of both worlds. So that one workout a week is a cross country workout. The other workout's a 400 meter type workout. You do that throughout the fall season, they are ready for track. Okay, and you just build a heck of a lot of transitional strength that you may not have built before that. And again, using fall to build off what you did over the summer instead of replacing what you did not do over the summer. Okay, it's accumulated. There's no such thing as a magic workout that replaces for time that you didn't do, that missing time or not doing stuff in training and so on and so forth. There's no such thing as a magic workout that fixes it all. There's no Robitussin to the training, right? No Tylenol to the training. It's an accumulation of work that you're putting over week after week, month after month, season after season, and so on. That helps propel you, get you ready for the next season and the next season, and so on. That's how you progress from freshman to sophomore to junior to senior, and you do it very gradually. This is how you can run fast, okay? So put yourself in a position to do that. So I wanted to share this today. And I thank you for the gentleman that brought this up and brought this situation to life, because there were a lot of people didn't think that this is a thing, that 400, 800 folks should be running cross country. And I'm not saying race cross country like 5K, 10K folks. That's different, okay? But if you need to step up, you need to step up. And this is a way that can get you fit enough to compete in cross country, but also make it easier to transition into track and lengthen the track season. So if anybody has any questions about this, please reach out to me. Again, blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. That's my email address. I will answer emails. And please join me in my live streams. I go live every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Okay, and we're going to talk this weekend. We're going to talk about 800 and 1500, how to train them in a way that makes it easier for them to transition to track in the fall. Okay, because not every 800, 1500 meter runner runs cross country in college. Most of them run in high school, obviously, but not everyone in college. You could have a program that's loaded with 5K, 10K folks, and your middle distance guys might not, or gals might not make the team. But how do you still get them fit in a way that if you need them to step up, they can do that, but also helps you test them and get them ready for track, okay? Another section that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. This is the whole point of this channel. I want to talk about stuff that no one else is talking about, okay? I want to help you any way that I possibly can. The goal is to make you faster, your athletes faster. It's not about me, it's about you. Okay, have a great rest of the season, gang, and a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.